Yes!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I am super stoked because I just caught my first moo, otherwise known as Bigeye Emperor. It was a couple weeks ago. It was a pretty memorable experience. I was fishing with a good buddy of mine. We only both had a window of from like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we didn't have a lot of time. It was a really clear day and it was a beautiful day to be out, but just not much fish around. So we took a little break and we were talking, and I was kind of complaining a little bit, like, man, I just don't think there's that many fish around these days, Like, I think it's easy to kind of, if you're not catching, it's easy to kind of bum out a little bit. And my friend was like, no, there's definitely fish around. You just got to find them. And he's just kind of talking about all the different spots on the island that are really hard to get to, or rugged terrain, or cliffs. And he was like, just think about how many fish are there if we could get to those fish. And it just kind of sparked my interest to, number one, change my attitude to not that there's not fish, but I got to find the fish. It's easy to just go to the same spots and just because you caught at those spots before, expect to catch again. But you do got to sometimes venture off and try different spots. So because the wind was down, I was able to try this very edge of this point that normally we wouldn't be able to fish because of swell, wind, and tide. The tide was going out, so it was low, and the swell was down. So I told him, I was like, you know what? I have a really good feeling about this spot. So I put on a taco leg, cast it out. First cast, felt some action, some bites. Felt a little different. I couldn't tell what it was. Second cast, something just hit it hard. And I thought it was an omilu the way it was fighting. It was kind of like going down, and felt like it was kind of head shaking. So definitely gave him a yell because he was kind of far away. And I had my PE1 and I only had 12-pound leader. So the fish felt like big. I thought it was 5 to 7 pound omilu. As I was bringing it up, I kind of looked down and I could see an omilu swimming next to it. So I thought it was an omilu. And then as I got it closer and I saw the side profile, I realized it was a moo, which is a really rare fish, especially daytime. Like normally you would catch them at night. So he came over to kind of like assist me and cheer me on. We were both like super stoked. Once I got it on the shore and I got it into my hands, I just looked at this fish and I was so stoked. And I knew at that moment, I'm gonna get this thing fish printed, gyotaku. So my friend and I were just super stoked. We're just admiring how beautiful this fish is. I decided I was gonna keep it and take it home for dinner. I put it in my cooler. We literally had 15 more minutes, so I decided to try another cast. Next cast, I caught another one, and it just was such an awesome and memorable day. So I gave one to my good friend Keone, and I took one home for my wife and I. I stuffed it with ginger, and I basically steamed it over bok choy and green onions, and then I put some shoyu, and then I finished it off with hot peanut oil. So it's kind of like Chinese style. It was so delicious. We both had a full dinner, and then the next day I got to have a full lunch. So super grateful that I was able to catch an awesome fish and enjoy it with my wife, and then share a fish with a friend and his wife. And I also got to do gyotaku, so I'm going to show you that. A couple of cool things about this fish is the most notable thing is probably their teeth. The front teeth are really sharp, and they use that for kind of clamping down. And then the back teeth are kind of like human teeth, like molars. So it looks really trippy. So they can basically hold on to stuff. But they eat crabs, mollusks, things like that. And apparently they also like shrimp and taco. I have heard of guys catching them on different lures, but I never have. This was my first one. And again, the taco legs seem to do the trick. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I got some new art pieces, and I got a new Juice WRLD picture framed. RIP to the GOAT. I love Juice WRLD, and I got my first gyotaku. So check it out. I'll grab it. Alright guys, so here it is. This is the actual fish that I caught. Maui fish printer did it. His name's Brian. The way it worked is I dropped it off the same day I caught it. He got a print of it. So basically you put ink on the fish, then you get a special paper that you put over it. From there, after you get the first print, he called me. I picked it up the next day, so I was able to, it's non-toxic. I was able to eat the fish, and then from there he finishes with some paint and some other ink, some different colors. So you can see it's a really beautiful fish. So super stoked, first time doing this, and it's kind of interesting. I did some research on gyotaku, which is originates from the 1800s. Gyo means fish, taku means, I think, stone print. Back in the early days in Japan, they would basically settle disputes for how big fish were. So if I catch a fish and I tell you it's this big, right? It's hard to take my word without a photo. So what they would do, because they didn't have cameras or photos back then, they would take a special ink, they would put it on the fish, they would put the paper on it, pull it off, and then from there they would always have a print. It also served as a cool way to kind of like keep track of the different varieties of fish and study them in that way. And also it's just, you know, this is something that I'm always gonna have. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, tight lines everybody. Take care.